Hi, welcome to How to D&D. My name is Fred Wheeler and today I am painting Dungeons and Dragons miniatures, and it has nothing to do with birds or a tiger or anything like that. No, Gale Force 9 sent me the Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments paints monster paint set, and in there is an owlbear, which is actually really hard to get hold of, and I have a copy of it, which is fantastic. It's been sent to me. I had a whole bunch of issues with priming and preparing this miniature, had to fill some gaps, did some priming, then had to get some paint off because it wound up with too much paint on there. But we finally made it, and now today is the day that I start my process of painting, which I have to say thank God for that, because it's taken me a while. You are welcome to chat along with me, or talk, or do your own stuff. I don't mind, that's not a problem. I was looking at the paint scheme they provide with the little pamphlet, and I'll show you the pamphlet. So this is supposedly the paint scheme. There's like 6 colours there. I feel like 6 colours for this is actually not enough. But I'll start with the 6 colours, and I'll work from there. And when I feel like the 6 colours is not enough, I will add some additional colours and change things up a little bit. Now, this will be going for about an hour. I will be stopping just before Critical Role for those of you who prefer to watch Critical Role than me painting, and also gives me a chance to go and make some food, eat some dinner, generally have some lunch. I've been outside in the garden. So, I'm going to use Vallejo's black rather than the Nolzur's Marvelous Pigment stuff. I think that's probably a better colour. I'm going to start with the dark colour, and then I'm going to work on to some of the other colours. So apparently the claws are black, and the beak. So we're going to do that. Let's see how that works. If it works, good. If it doesn't, I will change it. But let's start with that. Okay, cool. Right, so standard brush, I think, for this. Don't need to get too fancy just yet. And there's going to be a bit of spillover, I suspect, anyway, so that's fine. I've got myself a little trusty cloth. Poof, da, doo, ba, 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 ba. Tell me what you guys are up to. Are you at work? Are you driving home? Are you working on your own projects? Are you painting? Are you crafting? Is there something going on that you want to share with me? I want to share something with you. Dungeons and Dragons and the Tyranny of Dragons storyline. They apparently decided that it was a good idea to re-release that storyline. I don't know why. They've now taken the 2 books, which is Horde of the Dragon Queen, and brought them together, including the Tyranny of Dragons. And as a result, we now have one book called The Tyranny of Dragons, which is exactly the same storyline. It was not a particularly good storyline and had a whole lot of issues with it. I don't understand why they did that. That just feels like getting nostalgic. I'm not going to get nostalgic about it. I don't think it's a very good adventure, personally. I really thought it was a pain in the butt. I had to do a lot of work with the Rise of Tiamat and the second half, so I don't understand that. How's it going? Woodnick the Deep One. Oh, my brain, I've been out in the garden, so if I get your name wrong. Now that's Matt. Big Notorious Kid. Well, that's Big Kid, I know that for sure. I still don't know what your real name is, and that is fine. So welcome. Have you got anything that you're doing right now other than watching me trying to put black paint on the claws of this owlbear? I wound up, when I was spraying this thing, putting too much primer on. What had happened is I was coming to the end of the spray can, and normally the spray had gone on perfectly fine. I didn't have any real issues with it. It was a good choice. But at the end of a spray can, sometimes you can get like a big glob come out. It's like plain yogurt. And as a result, I wound up with a whole bunch of paint coming out way too quickly, and it caused me a whole bunch of problems. I wound up using some simple green to try and remove some of it. I removed some of the paint, not all of it, and which is a good indication the paint's good if it was trouble and difficult to get off. But yeah, it did create a lot of hassles, and it's taken me this long. Trust me, I've had it for months. I've been trying to get to this project for ages. So now that we're there, which is good news, I'm glad. So yes, you don't need to panic if you feel like, oh, Critical Role's coming. As soon as the 5-minute countdown starts and you want to go and check out what stupid thing Sam Regal's got up to, which I can totally understand. It's the highlight of the entire thing. I think it's the one part I do actually enjoy the most, is what crazy antics will Sam get up to. Mirror, mirror on the wall, tell me more, tell me more. I'm so jealous, Fred. That's the miniature I wanted. Yeah, I can totally understand. And I would be jealous too. And very nice of Gale Force 9. I believe Gareth sent it to me. Didn't have to pay anything for it. And I did my review. And I've been meaning to do the review for this, or at least the video for this, for ages. So I've got to paint it first. I've shown it off, but we've got to paint it. And the final result. And of course that'll mean a video for Xanathar's miniature, the Beholder, as well. What's that big notorious kid? Yeah, you do it. Yeah, you do. It's Brandon, but nobody calls me that. That's okay, Brandon. I will probably forget, mate. I'll be too tired and you won't need to worry about it. Big kid, Brandon, gotcha. Fantastic. So I have been working my butt off this week. It has taken me a lot to get through some of this stuff, and I find myself constantly trying to figure out, okay, what is the next video to do? What do I feel like doing? What isn't going to take me like a week to research? That's half the problem sometimes. It's just some of the video topics would be like a week to research, or I just despise the idea of doing the video. But big kid, I'd started writing the script for the monster tactics on the Earth, not the Earth, the Air Elemental. Because the Air Elemental is one that a lot of people seem to screw up and get confused by. And there's no reason to get confused by it, because you're running the monster, do it however the heck you want to, and stop worrying about what's in the Dungeon Masters, not the Dungeon Masters, in the Monster Manual. That Monster Manual is designed as a starting point. After that, you do what works and makes the monster interesting. Okay, so I'm going to just wash out my brush. I've been planting in my garden. None of them are carnivorous plants, fortunately. Okay, so what are we doing? It looks like... Do I need to do claws? Are the claws... Yes, the claws on the feet are supposed to be black as well, so I'll do that as well. I'm going to have to add some water. Add some water into the little putts. These Vallejo paints usually require a little bit of water, not a lot, but a little bit. Now this is the problem, is I'm using a big brush to cover a smallish area, and I want to do it fast, which is really not a smart idea. It's actually probably a stupid idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. When have I been really, really clever? My YouTube channel is a good indication of some of the crazy stuff that I've got up to. Things that most people would not even consider doing. And for good reason. I'm going to go through all of my B-roll and blooper stuff and all my old skits. And I'm going to put together an ultimate how to done D&D skit collection. And we'll see if people like that. I just need a colour bit of time and do something that's a bit more fun, and not always be about the game of Dungeons and Dragons and the rules and character classes and stuff like that. I need something that's sort of it'll break up the monotony just a little bit. When you start doing as many videos as I've done, I understand why Nerdarchy doesn't do as many as they do now. Totally get it. It just pounds you to snot. What's that, big kid? I printed the Air Elemental, but one arm got wonky, so I attached an arm that made from glue gun. Oh, okay. Oh, cool. Well, it's a shame that the 3D print didn't come out. Everybody seems to be playing around with the 3D printer. Well, not everybody. I mean, if you're in the right country, it works. Okay, so let's have a look at what else we've got to do. Apparently, with this thing, the beak is black. Well, I feel like going beak black too soon would be difficult. And the ears apparently are black as well. I hate that. I really hate that. I'm going to leave that alone. That just seems like a stupid idea. So now that I've done that tiny little bit black and I put out like way too much black, let's go to the brown. Apparently the brown I'm supposed to be applying is this brown they provided. I'm not a huge fan of that particular brown, but we're going to give it a go. I'm going to find myself a decent sized brush. Go over D&D drinking games. Yeah, I can't drink anymore, unfortunately. So yes, don't know that that's and I would imagine that would be age restricted. That would be problematic too. I'm not trying to go age restricted if I can help it. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to use a bigger brush. This is a big hoary brush. It's going to cover a lot of area real fast. I'm going to stick this brown on. This is the Nolzur, the D&D Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments, and this is the Owlbear colour. So give it a good old shake. What's this? This is Garden. Is it Garden? Garden. Don't drink either. Yeah, well, it's not that I don't want to. If it was ginger beer, I'd be all for it. And if it's nice wine, I'd do that too, but I can't, so I don't. Sugar doesn't seem to agree with me anymore and punishes me in horrible ways. Okay, but never mind. We'll find a way around that. We'll do something else instead. And right now, it's painting time. Painting time. Okay, so this is way too thick, so we're definitely going to have to add some water. So we'll do that again. What's that, Matt? Spiritual weapon spell. We had major confusion in our Wednesday night game. Everybody had a different opinion on how it worked. Oh, awesome. Okay, so to be honest, I'm only interested in what you think the correct application of spiritual weapon is, because I've been down the spiritual weapon road way too many times. So I can answer some of those questions. What is the issue that came up that you finally either dealt with or didn't dealt with? I would imagine that it never got resolved. It tends to be what happens at the gaming table, is those things just don't get resolved. Okay, so let's start off with this side. This is nice and thin. Yes, it is. And if I go any thinner, it's going to get all bubbly, and we don't want bubbly. No, that would be bad. Gandan. Yes, me as well. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's one of those things. Just put it down to old age. Things wear out. Apparently, you can't do those sorts of things forever. I think my issue was not so much. Okay, this is going to be too watery. I'm going to have to go back over. This is going to be way too watery. Anyway, it'll be thin enough. That's the main thing, right? So we'll just get the brown on. Let's give them a tanning underneath. Yeah. So yeah, most of my issues was really more about just eating too many sweet things. And I would imagine I'm lucky that I didn't wind up with diabetes. But, you know, it's dead stomach problems that are pretty bad too. Anyway, never mind. But I have enjoyed doing the... Yeah, way too thin. Yeah, it just... I picked up way too much. I might actually have to go back. Yeah, I'm going to have to go back because it's going to be so thin, and it's probably not even going to dry. You showed up for me to paint something brown, and that's about it. So we'll add a little bit more to that watery mix and see if we can't solve that problem. What's that, Matt? I'm going to have to read the spell again. The DM just made a ruling call, and we moved on. Well, that's the way they should be done. Yeah, I don't know what the issue was. If you tell me what the issue was, I can probably tell you if what was this ruling. What was the ruling by the Dungeon Master? Okay, Fred, you have forgotten something. I knew I was going to forget something. I haven't got something to actually jam or stick him onto. Give me a second. I will be back before the day is out. Bam. Thank God my office is nice and small. I can actually get to stuff. So we're going to stick them on here. Have you checked out minis from board games? Spiritual Weapon is easy for me as a DM. Yeah, I haven't really... Yeah, I've got a lot of miniatures from board games. I have Wrath of the Shardalon, and I have Castle Ravenloft, which I need to paint. I will get round to doing that. What's that, big kid? I play a level 13 life cleric. Ooh. So I think a lot of people forget just how powerful the cleric is, and they're just not thinking clearly sometimes. But it is. It's a very, very powerful class, and in conjunction with other classes, becomes even more powerful. And I'm looking at you, wizard. Okay. Particularly if you've got a group who are foolish enough to think they cannot have a cleric in the party, because that's better. Look at that. That's going on. Much better application this time. Still probably going to require me to go over a couple of times, but that's all right. We'll get there. And I'm going to be pretty rough about it. Just get the paint in places. I will miss spots, and then I have to get a smaller brush in there and then start fiddling around. Right, bonus action to move and attack, and another attack for action. What? No. No. The movement of the spiritual weapon is not a bonus action or an action or anything like that, as far as I remember. I believe that it's simply a bonus action to make an attack with the spiritual weapon. The whole idea of spiritual weapon is that you use the spiritual weapon and you can do something else, like cast a spell, it's a healing spell, or make another attack. So essentially, if you're high enough level, a lot of clerics, what they'll do is they'll pump out their spiritual weapon at the beginning of the combat, so they've got that running the whole time, so since it's not requiring concentration, and they'll use that to make attacks with a bonus action, I'm pretty sure. And then after that, what they'll do is they'll start using other spells that require them to help support the rest of the party, and allows them to engage in combat rather than just being a heal bot. That's really the concept behind it, as far as I remember. Yes, Ravenloft has a bunch. Nice to. I love undead. I haven't got to them. I will be getting to them pretty shortly. I imagine if you keep hanging around, they'll get painted for sure. And come on, Mr. Brown Bear. Is he bear or is he owl? Make your mind up. Make your mind up. So, and then in the front it's supposed to be grey, so I'm going to have to grab some more brown because this is running out. Yep, I've run out. Let's just scoop out the last little bit under the armpits. Get into the little tight spots. And okay, all right. So clean out that brush, and we'll need some more paint. I'm using Army Painter acrylics. Fair enough. Look, to be fair, the Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments monster paint set, which I'm using right now, is just Army Painter paints, just rebranded. There's nothing. They're actually exactly the same. They actually tell you what color they are in the Army Painter paint line on the side of the bottle. So I believe this is supposed to be. Can I read it? It's like tiny. My eyes are pretty shite. So here we go. Army Painter paint. Which one is it? It is impossible for my little eyes to see. My eyes, they suck. Yeah, okay. Oh well, couldn't tell you. No, there's no concentration with spiritual weapon. So why people like using it? It's why you wind up with a spiritual weapon when you go unconscious, just sitting there doing nothing. Unless, of course, you've got a dungeon master who decides, well, actually, no, the spiritual weapon disappears when you fall unconscious. But yeah, essentially, it just stays put and does nothing for while you're unconscious. So if you wind up conscious again, then you can start reusing it, provided the time has not elapsed. It's just a time-based spell, my understanding. Yeah. Big Notorious Kid, 24 AC Shield Master lets me be in the thick of things. Oh, nice. Okay, so this... Okay, I'm not going to water down this because I made the mistake of doing that last time. That was a mistake, so let's not do that again. Smaller brush, and... Yeah, now I can see if I put water in this, it is going to cause problems, so I'm not going to do that. It's already... Most of these particular paints don't really require much in the way of thinning down anyway, I've noticed. I know that the Citadel paints certainly do, but these ones not really. And he's going to be brown someday. Oh, we'll just paint the eye. Just easier. Just squirt him in the eye. Right, so I'm deciding how I want the front vest to be, and right now, I despise, just the words despise seem a bit strong. Maybe I just don't like what they've done with the paint scheme in terms of where the grey is. I'm fine with having there being grey, I just don't like where they've placed it. I feel like it's in the wrong spot. So I'll put mine somewhere else. And there we go. We're going nicely. Cool. I run a level 5 cleric and use a SH as a attack and support the tanks. Oh, okay, all right, cool. Yeah, well, it is actually. I mean, the spiritual weapon's a really good thing. You can just plant it beside somebody who's in the front line, and it just sits there and just keeps whacking away. Which means that you can keep your cleric out of harm's way if you're not able to take a beating, or you're dealing with something that can potentially change the game too quickly. Okay, so I now need to get around the fingers, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go around the fingers, deal with the other paint that can also sort of dry out slowly. What's that, Matt? Bonus action to move the spiritual weapon and an attack with a spiritual weapon, and another attack with his action, another spell or regular weapon. So yeah, the concept behind spiritual weapon I know is confusing, because we had this discussion about, you know, is moving it a bonus action, or is it is all just a little bit confusing at times, but well, we can rectify it. I know if I look at the book, I will be able to settle the issue fairly quickly, because I just want to refer to the book so I don't get it wrong. Silly bugger like myself decided to be part of the alpha playtest with that thing. I'm not sure actually I had that much of a choice. I think I was sort of roped into it. Anyway, just give me a sec. I'll go grab that. I'm not disappearing from the paint job. Honest. Painting will occur. I just, you know me, talk about Dungeons and Dragons. You start talking about Dungeons and Dragons, and actually now I need to know so I can tell you. All right, Mr. Owlbear, just sit there and get comfortable. I will be painting at you in a second. Let's find spiritual weapon. Page, spiritual, boom, spiritual garden, spiritual weapon. Okay, here we go. So, yes, duration 1 minute, so not concentration. I knew it wasn't concentration. Its casting time is 1 bonus action, so you can cast it as a bonus action. Bam, you have a spiritual weapon. Create a spiritual weapon, blah, 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 blah. And when you cast a spell, you can make a melee spell attack against a creature within 5 feet of the weapon. Okay, so basically, it's a bonus action and you get to make an attack. Okay, On a hit, the blah, blah, we know how much damage. As a bonus action, on your turn, you can move the weapon up to 20 feet and repeat the attack against a creature within 5 feet of it. It does not say anything about you having to use an action, the full-blown action, to make the attack. So the movement and the attack are all part of the bonus action. And I'm pretty sure that's how it was supposed to be from the get-go. So yes, we've covered it. That was easy. All right, back to painting. Sorry about that. Just want to make absolutely sure I was telling you the right thing, because we've been playing like that for ages, and I was like, no, that doesn't sound right. And I know the cleric right now is just, pops out that spiritual weapon and starts rocking away with toll the bell and spiritual weapon and toll the bell and spiritual weapon. I was like, oh my. And suddenly, occasionally, another spell that's sort of a little less sort of cleric-y, but, that's how it is sometimes. Yep, big kid, exactly. Cleric still has their movement and their action. Exactly. That's exactly how it's supposed to operate. Yeah, that's what the DM said. Good. He had it right. He knew what he was talking about. Boom, boom. I love that the dungeon master determined essentially what is the best outcome. The dungeon master came to the conclusion that was the outcome. It's actually pretty obvious from the rule. I mean, when you read it, there's not an awful lot to get confused about. You create a floating spectral weapon. Da, 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 da. Yes, exactly. That's the one. So we are going over the spiritual weapon. Oh, I have no problems with doing that. I'm in the process of trying to convince one of my friends to help me do some Dungeons and Dragons character builds, because it's not something I really enjoy doing that much. I mean, I'll do it from time to time, but it's just not me. You like to clog up the hallways and have spiritual weapons, guardian. Oh, okay, spiritual guardians of faith, and the spiritual weapon out. Yep, fair enough. That'll do it. That'll clog things up. All right, come on, you, get in there. In between the little fingers and around the back of the hands, all very hard to get at. Man. Dear. Okay, I don't know how you managed to type all that out so quickly. Well done. Certainly faster than I could read it. You're welcome. Have a great time. There's a good reason to be a cleric. For those who are unaware, there is a good reason. And there's a really good reason to multi-class into cleric and something else as well. My favourite still has to be the cleric wizard, which if you play as a half elf is just ridiculously helpful. I found myself being able to do so much at the table. You really didn't have to worry about issues like, oh, he's playing a wizard, but he's also a cleric. But when the cleric goes down, it doesn't matter. I can still deal with things. Of course, you can't bring people back to life if you only got chucked a few rank, 1 or 2 levels into cleric. Life cleric, awesome. I think that is one of the better ones, particularly if you're wanting to get a bit of healing, support the party. And I don't usually heal people till they start going down. I know that sounds terrible, but look, you only need 1 hit point to be in the fight. And every time I'm spending my time healing somebody else, the monsters are doing more damage than I can heal. So it's much smarter to just make sure they keep standing up and moving on. Alright, so let's grab some more of that paint. And I can see a lot of the watery stuff is sort of starting to pull in areas. I'm going to just go back over those areas very, very shortly. But right now I'm trying to paint its feet. Oh, I don't know why. Why am I trying to paint its feet? No, no, I don't think there's a I don't know. Are we talking about spiritual weapon? I don't think. No, you don't. Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're thinking about the opportunity attack. Does a spiritual weapon get an opportunity attack if an enemy moves away from it? No, it is not a creature. It is just a spiritual weapon. So yes, we've gone through that particular discussion before with groups. So no, you can't use your spiritual weapon to get an opportunity attack on an enemy that provokes an attack of opportunity. It's not a creature, it's just an inanimate, really just a spell effect that looks like a weapon. It's interesting how that question has come up almost always, almost consistently, and there's always been like a bit of a discussion about it, and it's taken a little while to sort of get everybody on the same page. But I know what you're talking about there. Okay. This foot is going to be really difficult. I can't actually see how I can get the brush in on the right angle to get that foot, not without making a blooming mess. Yeah. Yeah, like that's exactly what I said, a mess. Absolutely. All right, so just if I am out of the shot, if I move the miniature out of the shot, you let me know. I have to say, I am being pretty brutal in terms of what I'm doing today. I spent a lot of time on my garden, and the slugs are eating all the plants, and the cats keep digging everything up and pooping everywhere. And yeah, so I went completely bananas, and I went and bought myself some netting and so forth to try to keep them out. Okay. Let's see if we can't get that other foot on the other side, because I cannot see. Yeah, that's okay. All right. Boop, 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 boop. You know, the ongoing joke at my table is what will happen to my wild magic surge. Now, I thought it was interesting for those of you who are not a fan of polymorph. It's quite common. I had an argument with one of the players. I decided I was going to cast polymorph on one of my allies, because they were about to get completely pulverized. And what happens? That player decides, no, I don't want to be turned into a giant ape or a T-Rex or anything like that. And I was like, really? Really? Okay. All right. And so do I resist it? And I was like, seriously, you're going to resist the spell that's going to keep you alive because you don't want to be turned into a T-Rex or a giant ape. And I was like, okay, all right, that's fine. And then I had rolled on the Wild Magic Surge table, and I had got the option to select 3 creatures and hit them with lightning, chain lightning. Yeah, polymorph is OP. And so I was waiting to see if she would allow it to happen. She didn't, but I was all ready to let the lightning hit her because I only had 2 enemies to target anyway, because it was just getting a bit ridiculous, I felt. And I said, I couldn't believe that you would be resistant to me doing that when your other option is you go down. And she said, you can just heal me. And I said, you're going to get like 100 and something hit points rather than a piddly little bit of a healing word or cure wounds. Seriously? How stupid is that? I'm better off to let you just go down. You're a liability. And then the dungeon master, who was really waiting for that polymorph spell to get rocked out again, said, okay, you've transformed into a giant ape. You now have the intelligence of a giant ape. You are a giant ape, and you will randomly attack whoever's here close by. It actually didn't turn out to be randomly attack. It turned out to be attack me. So I suddenly had this giant ape pounding on my character who I had just transformed into a giant ape. It was actually very, very funny. I could see what he was doing there. He's trying to discourage the use of polymorph. In the past, my attempts with polymorph have usually resulted in me using polymorph in the same way the players have, to vastly more entertaining results. I think I've humiliated them. I've turned them all into bunny rabbits and had them running around as bunny rabbits for like an hour. I've used the polymorph a creature into a T-Rex or a giant ape. The giant ape is certainly the better option, I feel. But yes, it was an entertaining time. A little bit frustrating, but very, very strange situation arose. Okay, so this brown is actually starting to finally form up, but I do not want to water it down because it is just not going to work otherwise. Okay, keep going. Oh, thank God I talk, eh? Otherwise you get really, really bored. All right, so more brown. Give it a good swidgety. Need a drink of water. Getting dry. The question is, will we get all of the basic colours on here today? I have an hour, or less than an hour now. Less than an hour to get it done. Now, where are we going? We're going underneath, and we've done the legs. Look all right. There are reasonable coverage there. We definitely need to go underneath here. Can you see in that wing? There's just a whole bunch of areas that are just not right. So we'll get some paint on there, and in between little fingers. Oh yeah, it's the fiddly bit. Ah, So tomorrow I will be back here painting again. And so for those of you, it'll be the same time. So if you decide you want to come back and hang out with me, then by all means do so, because I will be here same time tomorrow. It is my day off. I get giving myself 2 days off to rest. Otherwise I'm just going to burn out. So that means a lot of painting. If I was DM, I would create a weather condition like hailstorm and break your concentration. yeah, well, he broke the concentration because the giant ape did actually hit me. I didn't. I failed the concentration check, and bam, no more polymorph. So yes. So the next time I do that, I'll have to make sure I'm not close to the giant ape. Otherwise, I'm going to get slammed by the giant ape. It will probably attack me. A little bit problematic because I spend a lot of time in the front line, which I know is a bit bizarre, but I'm like a mixture of right now I'm playing a mixture of a sorcerer and a paladin, and I've got enough spells and other things going on that I can actually, to a certain degree, stand as a tank, but it's not a really good situation, but it can be done. All right, so I feel like that's got that section there. That there's a little bit in between those fingers there that will get the brown on there as well, and then we'll start working on other areas. I feel like this section here should be grey rather than through a V through the feathers. I just feel like that's just wacky. I don't like that idea. But I'll make the final decision later on. So best way to go, right? Make the decision later on. Everyone talks about summoning pixies and polymorph. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I used pixies myself. And I did a video on the topic not so long ago. A couple of you might already know what I'm talking about. And see, I don't bother treating polymorph with the pixies like the spell. I just assume that polymorph is going to do whatever the heck I decide it's going to do if I'm the dungeon master. And I have no qualms about having a level 7 bunny rabbit in my game. In fact, I've had a giant bunny rabbit, which my party did not fight. They decided it was foolish, which they were right, because that That bunny rabbit had the stats of a dragon, and I had given it all of its maximum hit points as well. It just didn't fly, so certainly a case. And it was not really designed to be fought. If you had fought it, it would have crushed people pretty quickly. It was a mummy bunny rabbit that had like 100 little bunny rabbits to look after. Very, very strange game. Hugely entertaining. They spent the whole time trying to look after the bunny rabbits as they ran away, and Mum went for a bit of a rest, thinking they were the babysitters that had arrived. Hailstorm, laugh out loud, hits all of the creatures, 1 hit point damage, save. Okay, so I'm going to put some brown on the chest. And I'm going to need some more paint because I'm running out. And I might actually just grab a slightly bigger brush because I'm not going into fine areas now. I can actually use a slightly bigger brush rather than that one there. So we'll get that now. No, man. Do you know, you get your brush, you try to line it up, get it back in a little container, doesn't go. All right. Shake, 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 shake. And is that enough? I think that is. And that's probably way too big, so we'll go slightly smaller than that. What have I got as an option? That one, yep. Let's water it down just a little bit. Okay, cool. And I'm going to cover the chest area here and some of the lighter areas that I missed last time. Good. Oh, well, at least the main thing is I've got the brown mostly on. So I should be able to start tackling things like the beak and the eyes. Definitely. Yep. Deal with the eyes. Got to get that yellow one. Yellow's like... Is there a colour that could be any worse than yellow? I think there is. But yellow's pretty bad when it comes to coverage. Top of the head, down through here. And down along the top. Come on, you. In the crevice, you little snot. There we go. Go. Alright, so that's covered all of that. That's covered all of that. Still problematic with some of that really thin paint in some areas. I will obviously have to do a bit more work on that. Okay, so truck that down. Does Gale Force 9 sell those Owlbears, Fred? Tell them to make more. I think the only way you can get the Owlbear, and it might not be that easy, is through the paint set. But you know, that's a lot of money to pay to just get a miniature. I don't honestly know. I honestly have no idea. I haven't talked to Gareth for a while. That was like months and months ago when he sent me this, and he was telling me he had one of these things sitting on his desk that he was going to paint. He just hadn't got around to it. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, let's do the tongue with the pixie dust pink. God, that's a horrible looking colour. All right, let's do the pixie dust pink. This is this stuff here. Pixie dust pink. Yeah. Is it dry enough in there? Are you dry in there? Yeah, you are. Yeah, pretty good. She's good. Well, that doesn't seem to be mixing up very well. That's not good at all. Okay, just give me a second while I shake really hard. Yeah, I've got two lights on here, and as in terms of a magnifying glass, the problem is my glasses do magnify things, but it magnifies it so much that it strains and affects my eyes. Owlbear on Owlbear is $18 US. Okay, all right. Good. Matt, now you know. I haven't actually checked out how easy it is to get the Owlbear nowadays. I just need to get it painted. Okay, so that's a bit better. The other little blob is a little bit on the watery side. So let's get a smaller brush. We don't need the standard brush. We want the layer brush. Get the very, very fine brush for this baby. And oh, that's well and truly thin enough. We don't want to be going any thinner than that. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, probably require more than one application to get that pink sorted out too. So how is this supposed to work? I feel like, is that pink on the inside of the mouth, all the inside of the mouth? I feel like it's supposed to be the whole inside of the mouth, so we'll paint the whole inside of the mouth pink. You would laugh. I put the brush on with the paint and nothing happened. It's like that paint just did nothing. It's almost pointless. Pointless. All right. Okay, so that means I've got to put some paint in there that's a different paint, that's a sort of like pink, that's not that stuff before I put that on, because it's not going to do what it needs to do. So let's go with something else. Let's try the fair skin. The skin colors are always, I don't know if you guys find it, but always skin colors are difficult. Skin colors never seem to do what you need them to do. So I'm going to try this fair skin. We'll start with that, and then I'll go with the more pinky color. Oh, shake it. Oh. Okay. My arm almost came off. Okay, so that's, I can tell right now the consistency of that is a little bit thicker. What's that, Matt? The others are $50 crazy, and oh my gosh. No, $50 is much more than that's like $75 New Zealand, if that's US money. That's a lot of money for a miniature. It is. The problem is they deliberately did not make that many of them, knowing that this would happen. Well, this has actually worked out a lot better. My hand is shaking. The stress. I'm under so much stress now. Come on. Yeah. And right, so we got most of the inside of that mouth. Let's do the other side there. Now the beak is supposed to be black, so I know I'm going over the edges a bit, but that shouldn't matter too much. All right, so that's actually a slight improvement compared to what we had before. Dear. Yeah. This is the problem, is that you got to buy that Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments Monster Paint set to get this miniature, I'm pretty sure. Buying it individually would be great. I don't think it's very easy to do. Okay, so let's get some of this. So yellow's a sucky colour to deal with, right? So I'm going to deal with this firenewt orange, which more like a yellow if you ask me. And I'm going to put it on the eyes and see if the eyes will start to sort of form up. No, it has to be the Reaper Bones Black Owlbear. Okay. Make it a spotted owlbear. I don't know that I'll do that. I don't think a spotted owlbear. Not really for me. Okay, so a little bit of that. And yeah, it is pretty funny though. Okay. Let's get some yellow into the eyes. Now, my hand is shaking around a lot already, so it's entirely possible it could wind up with yellow polka dots everywhere. So I'll hold my breath, and the rest of you are just going to sit there. I'm just going to put this down here. The rest of you are going to sit there and make funny comments. Try to distract me. This is the whole point. If you're going to watch, you need to be distracting. I can't do it now. I'm just shaking like a leaf. Okay, calm. Yep, as I thought, it's going to suck to put this stuff on. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to go straight to the white, and then I'm going to go back to yellow. Boo! That's the one. Boo! Ah, boy. Now, do I need to go white, or could I go that? I could use that fleshy colour to help me build up the colour first. Yeah, let's do that. And then I'll go back to the yellow. Yep, that's helped. That sits on pretty good. Oh. Okay, so that's that one. And then we'll go back over with the yellow in a second. Provided I don't lose hand control. See that shaking? Right, here we go. Try again. Oh. And then change angle this way. A bit more of that paint. Yep. Okay. All right. So we've got the eyes in, and then we should be able to put the yellow over the top of that, and it should set all right. But we'll give that a second to sort of. Give them some time to actually set. Okay. Basic colours. Oh, I really dislike the idea of putting that grey, but I'm going to deal with the front beak. So we're going to put some black in there now, and that black is good enough. Good. And then wash it out. Try again. And we'll thin that down just a little bit. And maybe a bit more. And then try the bottom beak. Am I got it in the right angle so you guys can see what's going on? Need to remember I've got to be able to see what's going on, but I feel like there's more beak that I've missed. Alright, so let's do the other side. And just tackle just a little bit more. Oh, almost there. Alright, they've got a clean thread that is ready to move on to doing the eye with the yellow. Oh, well, that's the hope anyway. The eye with the yellow. Ticking clock time. It's the ticking clock. Oh. Okay, and then underneath the little beak. And then on the other side, can't see it. Okay, so that's worked out all right. Is that paint mostly dry? We're going to give it a shot. Where's the newt? Give me the newt. Let's try the newt. Countdown. Waiting for the countdown. In regards to the Spellforge and the Lost Mine of Found Delver, why do you view it as a problem for the DM in a campaign? It's broken and actually would kind of help Gundren equip guards in the mine. The problem is the players will view that as theirs. Doesn't matter what you are thinking as a dungeon master, you will find that players feel like it is theirs and they should be able to use it. And if it is broken, they'll want to be able to fix it. Whether that takes them a short period of time or a long period of time, that is where their head is at. If you've got players who don't think like that, great. But that is the issue. It is all about the perception and perspective of a player when they have access to something like that, because they'll figure out that, well, you know, if Nesnar thought it was worth putting all this effort into, it must be able to be fixed, and we should be able to eventually fix it. The Dungeon Master just has to give us the right adventure, and then we have ourselves a nice supply of stuff. So that is why I have a view on that. That is exactly what happened in my game, and I tried to talk the players around on that. There were about 7 of them at the table, and I had players, I had Dungeon Masters, people who had Dungeon Mastered before, and they all came to the same conclusion that the Spellforge was something that should be able to be fixed, and they should have access to it, and they should be able to make magic items out of it. And it's all really very much based around having played Dungeons & Dragons 3.5, their previous experiences, and the fact that they'd also been playing a lot of video games. So in the end, I gave up, and I said, okay, I'm ending the campaign for that. We're not moving on from here. We'll just start a new characters. We'll start a different adventure. We'll play the Tyranny of Dragons storyline instead. And to be absolutely honest, I feel like that was the right choice at the time. So that is why I have that view on that particular part of the adventure. All right, so let's see if we can get some of the pink in here on the tongue. I don't think this pink is just... Pixie pink sucks balls. Okay, sorry about that, but it does. It sucks balls. It really does. All right, I'm not too impressed by that, and I feel like it is time. The call for Critical Role will be coming, and I know that people are going to want to take off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move all my bits and pieces out of the way. I will do a spin. There isn't much to see because mostly it's brown. Seriously, it's mostly brown. Yes, I mean the drow would be trying to acquire to fix it, yeah. But as a DM, we're not allowed to. But yeah, but see, this is the thing. You're welcome, by the way. The thing is, it's not about what the DM thinks. It's the perspective and perception of players. And if you can't turn them round, then sometimes you just have to let it go and kill the campaign. And that's what I did, is I killed the campaign for that particular reason. So here is the Owlbear. Let's give it a spin. You can see I haven't done very much, but that's all right because I'll be back tomorrow and we'll do a whole bunch of highlighting and additional paint work, and I will decide where I want my grey to be. I have he's leaning over. I only have a partial idea of where I want the grey. I feel like the collar is the best place for that to go, so that's probably where I'm going to put my paint in terms of sort of putting the grey in. So make sure to, oh, by the way, thank you for watching here. I appreciate people coming to Twitch TV. I am on YouTube. I have hundreds of videos over there. So you're welcome to go and watch the stuff for Dungeons & Dragons for players and Dungeon Masters if you're interested. I also have a Patreon page if you want to support me, so I keep doing videos like this and keep streaming my stuff on Twitch TV and my painting. By all means, you can support me there if you want to and get access to a whole lot of stuff other people don't, and priority on the videos that I make. I have affiliate links over on YouTube to the book depository and Amazon if you want to support the channel, and I also have a merchandise shelf which is part of Twitch TV and YouTube now. So make sure to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell button if you haven't hit the bell button, and if you're on Twitch TV, which of course you are, then make sure to follow me so that you know when I'm around. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.